Greetings my friends, it's Top Hat here, and this is going to be the overview of my Real Sword Type 97 that I've nicknamed Korba. So, as far as the externals go, nothing terribly fancy. It's the Real Sword Type 97. These things are pretty hard to find now as far as I can tell. I've had this for, well, like 5 years now? But not a whole lot done to the externals because it's already pretty unique. I've just got a little rail here mounted to my barrel for bipod and or zoom scope camera. Mostly used for the scope camera. As far as optics go, since this is a bullpup, it's nice and compact, so it works pretty well in closer ranges for just the red dot sight. But you can also fit a longer barrel into it. I'm just kidding, airsoft guns. It's basically a fancy blowgun. You don't want as long a barrel as you can stuff in your gun. Beyond a certain point, airsoft inner barrels in AEGs particularly can cause performance degradation, but if you want to learn more about calculating that out, do your own research on voluming your inner barrel to your cylinder. Unless you have something like an extended cylinder, then you should definitely volume your inner barrel if you want the best performance rather than just slapping in the longest barrel you can find, like so many inexperienced techs do. These are not real firearms, a different set of things apply, but enough about that ramble. But anyway, it gets pretty good range. Usually I find myself noticeably outranging all of my opponents, so the 3x sight is very nice. So that's why I have the flip to side magnifier, because this gun is very comfortable to use in close range to some extent. I'll ramble a bit about that later, but it's also got pretty good range. Can outrange most people's DMRs. So the 3x is nice for identifying longer targets or seeing your BB's flight trajectory at longer ranges to adjust for windage and elevation. The Type 97 does in fact have an internal battery made for it, which just fits in here, but the 10.8 volt was nice. I got a pretty good rate of fire on there. I could drop in some pretty heavy springs and still get good cycling speed. But eventually the battery just got old and it didn't hold a charge for as long as I'd like. And it's too much of a pain in the butt to get like multiple internal batteries and switch them out between the Type 97, because it's a real pain to get the battery in and out of there. So eventually, when my Type 97 battery died, I just switched to a large Type 9.6 volt that I use in an M4 magazine pouch that's just strapped to the side of my Type 97. So I'll also remove the dust cover, which it's nice because I can have the wiring for the battery external, so I don't have to be bothered with internal batteries. Perhaps I could find a LiPo that would fit in it, but as of yet I haven't gotten around to wiring in a MOSFET or switching to a LiPo. I may at some point, but I'm pretty content with the performance it gets right now as far as rate of fire goes. It's got a pretty good trigger response, if not like really good trigger response, and the rate of fire is good enough for a gun as accurate as it. You don't need a high rate of fire, otherwise you just waste BBs. I don't really need to pelt people with a lot, considering not very many miss. So the only thing about the dust cover being removed on the side here, it makes hop-up adjusting a lot easier, but when I make airsoft videos, some of y'all complain that my gun sounds bad because my camera is like an inch away from the gearbox and there's not much to mitigate the sound. It actually sounds very nice in person, which you'll probably hear during the shooting test if I get around to making one of those. But my only complaint about the gun itself is just how ridiculously high above the barrel the sights are. I'm very much questioning the person who originally designed the Type 97. I'm not sure why you would, I mean, even above the charging handle there's all this needless space, but having the optics so far above the barrel makes it really uncomfortable to use in like indoor CQB fields, because if you shoot above, like you're trying to shoot over a piece of plywood or some sort of cover like that, you have to get pretty far above the cover, and if there's anything that's like, you know, a piece of cover where there's like a gap between two slats of plywood, then you're probably going to end up not being, you know, like your barrel will fit through the hole, but your optics are just so far above it, it's kind of annoying. So I've always wanted to switch this over to the flat top upper rail unit. I could not get that business deal to go through for reasons that I don't care to specify, but maybe someday I'll pester some of my Canadian relatives and send them some money and see if they can buy it and ship it to me, because I'm not doing a 1-to-1 USD to CAD conversion when CAD is like 70 cents on the dollar. When I tried to buy it, that's that's not gonna happen. So I guess that's pretty much it for the externals. As far as rambling a bit more about ergonomics, some people complain that the Type 97 is an awkward gun or is strange to get used to, but I've never actually found that myself. I've always found it to be very comfortable. The mag swaps don't feel awkward or take particularly long to me. And if you really need to swap a mag out ridiculously fast, you're probably in a bad position anyway. So that's kind of what, the rest of your fire team's for, is to cover you while you're, reloading. But I can still reload pretty darn fast. So I personally am fine with the ergonomics of this gun. It works great for me. It always has. I've been using it for quite a long time. And that concludes the first part of my overview of Korba, which discusses the externals and overall look of the gun. The second part is all about the internals. Hopefully that'll be an interesting one to watch for you, because I'm sure I'll ramble on about AEG teching and you might hear something interesting. Be sure to check the video description for part 2 of Korba's overview, and thank you for watching.